Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day here in Chautauqua County. The snow's still falling here. I thought it was in the middle of April, you know. Late April. This is the 20th. And snow is coming down. It's covered the ground, but it will evaporate shortly. They tell me it's going to be a little bit warmer, but it's going to be in the 30s, my God, and down to 30 itself, they tell me, and maybe a little less here in Mayville, New York. And the snow goes on. The show goes on. Here we go. We have a good guest, a friend who comes in and reports regularly on the shenanigans or the goings-on in the Chautauqua County Legislature, and I'm just kidding. They do a lot of serious work. And Fred Crosscut, and everybody knows Fred. He's been there forever and ever and a day. And when he runs for election, they have trouble finding somebody to run against. Did they find anybody this time?
I think they have, yes.
They have? Okay. Good luck. And we have a lot of other stuff. I want to thank certain people for certain things, but the one who's outstanding is Kathy Young. She's our New York State Senator, and Kathy has given us a grant, a very generous grant, to keep the program going and to help out Access Television. So I want to thank you, Kathy. And this is about the umpteenth year she has done this. It's not as though it was new. Kathy, incidentally, has brought more money to Chautauqua County since she has been in office than any other senator during that period of time. She has really gone out for Chautauqua County, and God bless her. I hope she's there forever and ever and a day, just like Fred here. All right, now, I have a couple other thank yous, as I said. Gary Carr is my private butcher. Gary Carr is the meat cutter, actually. The butchers kill, meat cutters chop. And he is the meat cutter over at Tops Supermarket in Westfield. And whenever I need something done, I say, gee, Gary, could you do this for me? Like they had pork loins on sale last week for $1.99. Now that's pretty cheap for no bones, pure pork, perfect. And so I said, look, cut it in half, and I'll slice up the steaks and take the other half and run it through the grinder for me. Well, yeah, I need some ground pork because you can't make a decent meatball without ground pork. It's that simple. And he did it. He always does this. He'll cut steaks to the width you want. You know, those sniveling little quarter-inch steaks or whatever that they usually sell. He'll give me a 2-inch steak, which is what I like. And thank you much, Gary Carr, the meat cutter in charge of the meat department in Top Supermarket in Westfield, New York. I do want to give a shot to the town of Chautauqua Loan Closet. Many people don't realize if you need a wheelchair, you need a stool to bathe someone or whatever, all kinds of equipment. They have it on loan at the town of Chautauqua Loan Closet. And if you go in there, it's free. For anybody who's in the area, and even for people who aren't in the area, it's just, I think there's 3 months free anyway. And when I say there's a charge, the charge is 50 cents or something, so it's not a big deal. The town of Chautauqua Loan Closet, if you want some stuff, any sort of specialized equipment for somebody who is invalid or needs it, call them, and you talk to Nancy Navarro or Jean Kelsey. And the number to call is 753-3581. I need my specs here. Again, 753-3581. And they have their office where they have the equipment is in the fire hall in Mayville. So if you're interested, Nancy Navarro and 753-3581. And they will help you out, and they're very generous, and they have an awful lot of good equipment there, starting with canes, but I mean, we're talking about walkers, we're talking about all kinds of heavy stuff that you may need, including wheelchairs. This is something you should be aware of, everybody should be aware of. And a lot of other things going on. I'm going to skip some of them, because they're telling me you're already running into your program time, Reed, which I always do. I wanted to mention some senior citizen stuff at the clubs. Now, we have so many wonderful clubs. I pick a few of them and I talk about them. Today we're going to talk about the Dunkirk Senior Citizens, and they have a lot of things going on. They meet at the Dunkirk Senior Citizen Center, which is just terrific. On May 23rd, they're going on a casino trip, and of course everybody loves them because they give you, well, they charge, I think, $25 or something, but you get it back. You get chips up to 25 or 20, and then you get a bonus often. You get you get bus transportation, of course, and you get lunch usually, so you can't beat it. They're going on a trip May 23rd. If you're interested, you can always call the Dunkirk Seniors, and they will help you out. And they're having a big bingo on Wednesday, May 15th at the Senior Center, and that's at 45 Cliff Star Court. Doors open at 4 p.m. Lunch will be served, complimentary, free lunch, and bingo begins at 5. Any seniors welcome. You can be from anywhere in the world. Gala Sunday, April 14th, and I'm afraid that's over. They have another one May 19th. And the doors are open at 11 a.m. Punch and hors d'oeuvres will be served at 11:30. Lunch will be at 12:15. Menu will include roast beef in the works. Can't beat it. Great Belt Seniors, quite a gang over there. I wanted to mention, they have just a little item here that is important. They're going on a rail adventure to the Pennsylvania Rail Adventure in the spring, and it'll be earlier than anticipated. It's a 4-day trip, May 13 to May 16, and you can see all kinds of wonderful shows in Lancaster, Noah at the Sight and Sound Millennium Theater, Cats at the Dutch Apple Dinner Theater. They're going to Falling Water, which is one of the very famous Frank Lloyd Wright's houses, and boy, he was such a winner. It's just great to see it. Milking station at the Kreider Farms, which is world acclaimed. It's the biggest one in the world, I think, and most modern for sure. The cows come in and put the milk machine on themselves. Lots of luck, but it does the job. The casino coming up again. Trip to Montreal and Quebec is sold out over there. Anybody who wanted that, I'm sorry, you're out of luck at the Great Belt Seniors. They're having a potluck luncheon on Wednesday, April 17th, and that's over, of course. I get this wonderful news, but unfortunately it's a little off. They will meet for knitting April 24th. And they always look for new knitters, nitty-gritty. Lakeshore Seniors, they meet at the Dunkirk Senior Center. And the president, Stella Michalak, and if you want to get involved with them, just drop around and say hello. Their next meeting is coming up in late April. Betty Eric and Carrie Garonsky will be doing the job. Mayville Seniors, they have a lot of people over there. They have their annual ham dinner, incidentally, and oh, is that great. They meet down at the VFW, outside, beautiful place over there at the foot of the hill in Mayville. They're over near the lake. After a filling meal, President Joyce Ayers called the meeting to order the last time, and she read 5 jumps a week. Whatever that is. There was a moment of silence for someone, which I never mentioned, but I just say praise them. May the good Lord watch over them. Life member birthdays, Dorothy Ackham, Rita Lazinski, Jean Russ, who will be 98 years old, and a bunch of others. Gene Kelsey reports there are only a few seats left for the Cambridge Springs Dinner Theater to see the Patsy Cline show, so don't miss that. And they're going on a relaxing trip, it says, to Mackinac Island in the late summer. If you want information on these trips, 753-7814. 753-7814. Program Chair Bill Tornson announces the speaker for the April meeting coming up will be Under Sheriff Charles Holder, who will talk on the SAFE Act gun laws. We will talk about that. The legislature talked about it. Next meeting coming up late May. Bring a dish to pass when you go. The Mayville Seniors have a wonderful meeting, and they have lunch around noon, and you bring a dish to pass, bring your own silver and stuff, and you're all set. United Seniors, they meet at the Beaver Club, and Charles St. George is the chairman over there, president or whatever, and I just want to say happy birthday over there to Barb Centner, Josie Christopher, who is very active, does a lot of work for seniors. Carm Johnson, Edward McClellan, St. George, and Louis Saragusa. Happy birthday to you. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, I got one more announcement. They're telling me it's over. I will get off the air or they will just shut me down. Next meeting is May 13th over there. And I want to mention the fact that the United Senior Citizens are leaders from all over the county of seniors. Stuffed shells coming up. All right, enough said. I'm finished. I have a public service announcement for you. And then we'll hear from Doc, John Hamels. This is for you.
In order to beat breast cancer, I knew I would have to lose my breasts. But to reclaim my life, I chose breast reconstruction.
Each year, nearly 150,000 women will learn they will undergo a mastectomy due to breast cancer. But 7 out of 10 women are never told about their breast reconstruction options. Breast reconstruction is a very important part of the healing process, both physically and emotionally. Download my song Flower to share the message and help us share the fact that women can feel whole again.
All right, we got a guy here who shoots from the hip. Doc, John Hamels. You're on, John.
Good morning. Woo! I love that introduction. It wakes me up every time. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Fred, and welcome back to the show. Good morning, Reed. Well, Reed, I wasn't here last week because I was on a very special mission. I was out and about down in Florida, and I've been recruiting for our band, and I'm going to show you a picture here in a second of our new member of the band. Bring it up there, Jeff.
In Florida.
There he is. That's our newest grandson. That's Raleigh William Michael Hamels.
Beautiful child.
And he's doing great, and we had a great time with him.
Who are the proud parents?
Oh, my son Sean and his wife Emily.
Okay.
They got married about a year ago, and so he's doing well. So we had a lot of fun with him. So I told him he's another guitar player. Look at those fingers. So anyways, it was nice to get away and so forth. Thanks, Jeff, for putting that up. Well, Reed, today I was trying to think what we're going to talk about. Well, wow, the news is just jammed. Yeah. So I thought I'd take a little different approach and kind of like tie it together a bit. As you know, when we watch the news for the last, whatever, it's been 6 days here, it's just been horror, 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 horror. And I went to a meeting the other night. I'm a fire commissioner and for Ripley. And we were talking, and I was thinking about a few things today, and they had given me something to talk about, which I will in a second. But I was thinking about what's been going on this past week, and of course, you've got the law enforcement and police agencies involved. But even if we go back to the marathon, and then every event that we've seen here, even here in Chautauqua County, the horrible situation in Frewsburg, the accident up on the thruway just Thursday, and so on, the police are there, but who else is there? Who's in the background? Who stands there, never says a word, and it's the fire departments. It's the EMTs, the paramedics, and so forth, those firefighters. And I was thinking about, I know, Reed, you were a fireman, right?
Many, many years.
Many years.
EMT.
Our own Donald Zenz, one of our cameramen, is a new fireman. I know Jeff Zook was a fireman for a number of years. And so a lot of us are connected to the fire department. Fred, were you a fireman?
Yes.
There's another one. And so I think we always talk about unsung heroes. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to take away from law enforcement because they did an unbelievable job this week in all areas of our country and our county. But the firemen really should get an extra pat on the back. And people kept saying, when the explosions and the fires came about, everybody went that way. All the paramedics, and police departments as well, went this way, and that really kind of separates people when in their commitment to life and protecting each other. And my hat goes out and comes off to you, and I salute you.
I wanted to mention one more thing.
Go right ahead.
Hats off to the firemen, because up here especially, they don't receive any pay. This is strictly volunteer
Right.
work.
Jamestown.
The police department, they get their pay.
Well, I think Jamestown and is Dunkirk are the only two, because they're cities and their funding is a little differently.
Right. Most of them, as I say, in the small towns or whatever,
Right.
they get no pay.
Right. We have two firemen in our family in Ripley as well, Doug and Jeremiah
And
Molson.
he gets no pay, even though
No
he's
pay.
a high order of.
He's a paramedic,
Yeah.
Doug. Well, but here I want to wrap it up and bring it all together is if you are moved by what you've seen this week on TV and here in the county, and if you have an interest at all, there are many, many jobs within firefighting and safety. And I don't know, this isn't a very big poster, but this coming weekend, not today, but next Saturday and Sunday, probably covering up the dates, here we go. It's called Recruit New York. It's throughout the state in April 27th and 28th. Various fire departments throughout our county anyways are having open houses or displays and so forth. And I do know, I promised the guys back at the station houses that I would talk about Ripley anyways. They're going to have open house on the 27th. You do anything in Sherman, Fred, do you know?
I don't know, but I'll have to check.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that next week as well. But if anybody's listening from the fire departments, I man the phone, so call us. We can put you on, or I can send the information to Reed and we can get it on the air later on. But anyways, it's not restricted to just men. There are many women that are firefighters these days. I believe you have to be 18, you have to pass a physical and so forth. But there's various jobs. There's some that work the ambulance, there's some people that fight fires, some people are paramedics. We even have a fire police. And I'll tell you that they do an outstanding job. So anyways, get involved, have a look, stop down to your fire stations, give them an attaboy, attagirl. Back to you, Reed.
Okay, I want to add to that. The fire departments in this area particularly, but all around the country, like many organizations, have suffered terribly from a loss of manpower. Like, for example, my fire department in Westfield had 78 people on it a few years ago. It's down to 40-some-odd people. And it's getting very difficult because people have to have 2 jobs or 3 jobs to survive today.
Well, and the other issue is there's an aging thing going on. The ones that are still there, they're getting up in the years and they're becoming more your emeritus kinds of retired firemen. They can't go out and fight like they used to.
No, they've lost a lot of their power and energy. And,
Right.
in certain fire departments, like in Paris, which was the first fire department and organized way back by the Romans, they have a policy that when you're 35, you have to retire because you don't have the core strength you used to have when you were younger. And so we need firemen anyway, and fire ladies, I might add.
Firefighters.
Firefighters. And so there are plenty of positions, and as John pointed out, you can do almost anything. You don't have to necessarily fight fires. You don't have to necessarily be on an ambulance and take care of the injured. You can do many other things. Fire police, for example, and directing traffic, very important. Driving, a lot of things you can do. And just call your local fire department, and if you have a little time, it doesn't have to be a full-time deal here. If you just have a few hours a month you could donate to your fire department. In these little communities here, it's critically important. So don't forget, your fire department needs you badly. Here you go. John, thank you very much for pointing that out. And I'm sure that everybody in the county, if you look on TV, you'll see all of the people, towns and villages are trying to find people to help in terms of their fire departments, who do a wonderful job. And again, they're not paid. Most of them are volunteer. Most of them. Some are, but most are volunteer. They get no money out of it. They do it for the goodness of their heart, their country, and their villages and towns. Fred Crosscut, good morning.
Good morning, Reed.
It's good to see you today. And Fred, I appreciate the fact that you will come in almost any time and deliver the information, the news to our seniors. And the only problem I have with you is you're so big and I look so small. It looks like I'm a dwarf.
I don't mean to do that. I guess I'll sit up a little better. My hair is kind of neat.
Well, it's windy out.
It is windy out, but I'm really happy to be here. And as you say, I'll come in any time. But just to reiterate on a couple things here.
Okay, whatever's crossing your mind. Yeah.
Well, I think I want to take this opportunity to thank you as I sit here and listen to your senior report. Your program is a real asset to senior citizens, and as I signed up for my Medicare, because I turned 65 in May, I started to realize you're getting older, and of course when you get out of bed in the morning, things don't work quite like they used to.
No.
But your program is invaluable, and as I heard you talking about different groups, my wife and I just took the senior class on a trip last weekend, and the John Lloyd House, we didn't go to it, we've been to it, but we went to that same Ohio Powell Village and took the kids whitewater rafting. So I can relate to that. And the dinner theater in Cambridge Springs, what a great opportunity. So, you know, I want to congratulate you on the years that you've had this program on, and I only hope that someone, sometime when they take this program over, will continue to get out the senior report.
I'm sure John Hamels will be right there.
Well,
he's doing
it's
a
great,
job.
and you have a great facility.
If not, we'll call you over.
Yeah, well, I tell you, and then as far as the fire departments, yes, I was right out of high school, and since then I've retired from the Sherman Volunteer Fire Department. But I also think the one thing that we had a problem with is a Texas blast, and I just didn't read the paper this morning too much, but you know, those people are burying some of their dead EMTs and their first responders, and that's very, very sad. And I know, for example, here in Mayville, I mean, I know every time that DeWittville and Hartfield goes out, they also blow out Mayville. I know for EMTs in Finney Lake, they're presently discussing how they can make the Finney Lake Sherman area better covered because of the fact that Sherman does have the EMT. So I certainly will try to do everything I can to help facilitate some of these discussions. But you're right. If you're a fellow my age, you can still go in and work on the trucks. You can, as you say, do fire police work.
Yeah, a lot of things you can do that don't require stress.
Yeah, and so paperwork and that kind of stuff. So I want to commend the volunteer fire service, and you can always talk about something that you've done. You've been there, done that, and so we both have, and we certainly appreciate that.
Well, the training is invaluable too. When you get the training for not only the EMT, which you will probably get, but also for just the fire department, the training it prepares you for a situation.
Yeah.
If there is a fire, you know better than to open a window and stand in front of it, or open a door without checking.
Yeah.
And you do know what you've got to do. You start with at the top and ventilate. You go to the bottom and you wet.
Yep.
And these are things that are critically important. And of course, you take matches away from little children. I mean, they're stupid things you've got to remember, you know?
I remember the first time I put a Scott air pack on and entered a burning house. You can't train for that, but it is.
It's scary, too.
It's scary, too. And also think of the death that these people see. And I know here in Chautauqua County, we have a beautiful facility right here where we're at. but sometimes people forget those volunteer firemen and EMTs need training too, to help them through what they just witnessed. And so, you know, please take a moment and pray for these people, and also stop and thank them.
Yeah, that's very important.
It sure is. But anyways, a lot of things happening in the county, a lot of things continuing to happen. I hope that we do have some calls. You mentioned the gun law. Here again, we've got a motion this Wednesday night, and while it is a letter saying that we are urging the governor to enact a law which will not publish the names and addresses and locations of pistol permit holders. I personally will support that. I guess I have a couple theories on that, being a gun owner and a pistol permit holder. I don't really care if someone knows I have a pistol, personally. I hope they try to enter my house and I can get to that, because I know what the outcome will be.
Well, you wouldn't shoot them, you'd talk them down.
I don't know. It depends on, if I could get to that weapon, I would probably use it. By the same token, as some of my other friends, and that's why we'll be supporting this, if you have a mentally ill individual or someone that cannot possess a pistol permit, and you're gone on vacation, or you're living there and he or she knows you have a concealed weapon permit, and even knows the location, that to me is the reason I will be supporting not publishing these names and addresses of these people in the paper, because I just think it's wrong.
It's real dangerous.
It's really dangerous.
Especially even if you do follow the law, you have a gun safe and you hide it, they'll find it, and they can break a gun safe open with a crowbar in a minute. Yep. And they got all your guns.
Yeah, and so that's where we're at right now with this meeting this Wednesday night. County home, I just checked with County Executive Greg Edwards a week ago. Marcus and Millchap are continuing to get people that are interested in purchasing our county home. As of today, when I speak, there has been no one else that has come forward to make an offer. We've checked with the other people. I, in my own mind, don't see anything happening until after this fall's election. And the reason I say that is the interest isn't out there as much as it was before. And to sit here and say we have another buyer, we don't. To sit here and say the negotiations will be ongoing, yes they are. We will continue to try to market that county home.
I hope that the people involved remember that the seniors are the highest number of people who actually go out and vote. And the seniors are the ones interested in keeping that.
Right.
That we've had the county home in essence in DeWittville and there for over a century here in Chautauqua County.
Right.
And it is when a senior is broke, is basically destitute and sick, they need a place to go, and they need a place to go we can trust, and they can go in on Medicaid, and I believe 80% of the people at that county home are on Medicaid.
You're correct.
And try to get into a private place on Medicaid. Lots of luck.
And I will say this, Tim Hellwig was supposed to give a report at the last Human Services Committee meeting this week, and he could not because of some incidents that happened. But I assure you, as we progress down the road with the county home, Tim will be in to give monthly updates and also make sure that people know that we are implementing things that are in the CGR report. And so the best thing to do is keep abreast and stay tuned, and I'll report back and follow the paper, and we'll see what we are doing.
Well, for the people that are howling at the fact that it costs money for the county, maybe these seniors who built this county and have paid taxes to it for 70, 80, 90 years, maybe they're entitled to a little bit of something out of the county too, you know?
Don't deny that, Reed.
And there we go. This is something that's very important to our seniors. And I hope that, again, if they have another vote on it, they'll turn it down again. Because, and turn down, I see the people that lost the vote just say, well, what we'll do is change the law.
Yeah.
And you have to have, what, 60%?
You have to have a supermajority, which right now is 17.
To sell county property,
Yes.
which is horrendous, but especially the only hospital we have for the senior citizens. And it is for senior citizens. I mean, you got 90% of the people there are seniors who are broke, who have no place to go.
Correct.
And it is just, they tried to change that to 50%, but that didn't work either.
No, it didn't.
God bless your county legislature and its caring and its thought for senior citizens. You're on.
Well, and then the other thing that's going on, I'm also on the IDA board. And
what's the IDA again?
Industrial Development Agency.
What do they do?
Well, for example, that's where your planning and economic stuff happens. And this past week, as you maybe have read in the paper, and you recall Fairbanks Farms, the slaughterhouse, for lack of a better term, that really went out of business. We have a company out of Germany that met with us this week. They are hoping to put that facility back up and running with the management people and some of the people that were there. Saturn Foods is a dog food company. They make specialty dog foods in Germany. And he said, at our meeting, he said a per capita income or per capita expense in Germany for people with their pets is $650 per pet. In the United States, it's only $150.
But $500 for my cats, I might add, between the vets and the worst part about cats is the litter.
Oh yeah, I know. But anyways, they want to purchase the old Fairbanks or AP facility. They want to restaff it. They want to invest $20 million.
Wow.
And they were going from here to Michigan. And the thing that they're looking for us from this county is they're looking for some kind of a pilot. And they're looking for some kind of a sales tax exemption, and we ask them, are you looking to borrow any money? And they says, no, we have the resources to do that, but we are leaving here today and going to Michigan, because what I want people to understand, all these different states are competing for business.
So in New York State, how are we doing on the competition?
Well, we're doing as good as we can, and we've also, the county executive contacted the Empire State Development to see what they can do, and we've also worked hand in hand with the Business Development Center out of Buffalo, which people that follow this know that we are affiliated with them, and they're actually the people that came up with this. But it was so nice to see that facility in Panama will be, or Asheville, will be resurrected again and put into good use.
That is great. You know, it reminds me, you know what pierogies are?
Yes, that's
Westfield, New York.
That's exactly my committee too. We talked about that last week.
Okay.
How are they coming down there?
I haven't seen any pierogies yet. I haven't watched it. But the old fire hall in Westfield has been purchased, I understand, by a couple of ladies from nearby. I think they're Ripley or somewhere.
Yes, they're northeast, and
northeast, and they make pierogies. And if you don't know what a pierogi is, Fred, what's a pierogi?
Well, it's that little thing you put in the oven and cook, and it's veggies, or it's their little little tacos.
Okay.
You know, it's about because we had some of them at the last IDA board meeting.
Potatoes. They're potato.
Yep. They're really neat, and here again, more business coming into this state, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, it looks like that's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Did IDA have anything to do with that?
Yes, they did. And here again, we had them in, and we talked about the loans, and we talked about the people, the amount of jobs they're going to have. And yes, that's why I'm on the committee, because of my chairmanship of the Planning and Economic Committee in the county. So it's a very interesting committee, and there's a lot of things you can't talk about, but when these things do come to surface, then you can talk about them. And the other thing that we did this week, and it was in the news, is the fact that Dunkirk Metal Products, they had 2 facilities, and one in Dunkirk and one in Brockton, and we have now sold the last part of our spec building in Chadwick Bay, and we've managed to get $1.8 million out of that. They will be moving out of the 2 facilities into one and combine their operation. Here again, that's a German company, but yet the other, Dunkirk, the guy that makes the boilers, they will continue to utilize the Dunkirk or the Brockton facility also. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. So there are good things happening in the county, and you know, things are still challenging, but that Chadwick Bay facility will finally be sold, and the county will get their money out of it.
Good.
And so that's another
Chadwick Bay is Dunkirk, right?
Pardon?
It's in Dunkirk.
Yes, Chadwick Bay is in Dunkirk.
And they're going to be doing all their work over there at Chadwick Bay now.
They're going to bring 2 organizations or their separate businesses into one operation.
I saw somewhere they used to have a square mile or something in their plant or whatever. Yeah. Maybe 2 square miles.
But that was finally, and the last person to be in there was Lorenzo, and of course he went bankrupt. But now we're able to fill it with this and get our money out of it. So
it looks like business is hopefully coming up a little bit, even though I'm not so sure New York State is much of help when you say New York State.
Well, I know, but we live here.
I do see the ads, oh, we're wonderful, it's a new New York State, we're giving everybody all kinds of money and tax abatements, everything. Well, let's hope.
Well, and that's a double-edged sword, because with farmers, they go out and say, well, why did this company get free sales tax on their building projects, or why did they do a pilot? Well, we're in competition, folks, with other states, and so is that offset by the number of jobs and people getting employed? And so we think it is.
Okay, we have a phone call.
Good.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting. Hello there.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's up?
I have two questions of your guest. Mr. Crosscut, could you update us on the, I think it's called the Shovel Ready site in Ripley? And also, could you comment on the sale of the airports for the county?
The Shovel Ready sites in Ripley, I'm trying to think, we talked about this, or someone asked a question at the IDA board meeting, and we are still continuing to try to market that facility, but the business that was interested in that is no longer interested in that, and I believe, I don't know if it ever surfaced or not, but I think it was a Target or something to that effect. And I do know that that fell through, but I don't know how many year commitment we had on that park, but I can assure you it came up at the last, maybe a couple times ago at the...
Where is it again?
It's right there in Ripley between, right out the thruway exit, I believe, caller.
What shovel ready mean?
Mean it's ready to move into, and we'll build they can build a building or whatever. They've acquired the land, I believe, caller, and have a commitment on it. Is that correct?
Well, the caller's waiting.
Gone.
He's watching you.
Okay. Well, and as far as the airports, we continue to work. We've got a new part-time airport manager. I have not heard anything more recent about maybe selling the Dunkirk Airport. There's nothing in the works about that. I know it's been discussed. And as far as the Jamestown Airport, we're just continuing to utilize it as best we can. And I don't know how we'd ever sell it, because 90% of the money that comes in there are federal funds, matched with about 10 to 20% of our funds, but that also comes with a 20-year commitment. So that's something that we just haven't spent.
So it brings a lot of dough in for our small investment.
Well, and the problem is you've got that federal funding commitment, and that makes it virtually impossible to sell the airports. As far as the Dunkirk one, you probably could, but as I said before on this program, I think we generate a significant amount of sales tax through the sale of planes that come into that facility. And here again, I guess maybe I better find the amount of money we do generate in sales tax from the sale of airplanes at, for example, the Dunkirk facility, because that's more contract carriers. Because this is not the first time this question's come up.
Yeah, lots of money, because planes are not cheap, right?
They certainly aren't.
They certainly aren't. Well, they have a lot. Okay, we got another phone call. Do you want to take that?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. It is a beautiful morning, too, finally, and it's going to get better this week. It's going to get better. Spring come, please.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. And I have a question for your guest.
Good.
Sure, go ahead.
In Dunkirk, there's the power plant, Niagara, that apparently is not being utilized. Is there a plan for it, or do you know, is it going to be making money for the county at any foreseeable time?
I will tell you this, Reed and I talked about this a little bit before the show, and I have not done too much research on it, because at our level all we can do is write and support it with letters. And I can assure you one thing, there is not a person on the legislature or in the Dunkirk area that wants to see that power plant shut down. That would be devastating to the city of Dunkirk, the county, and the school systems.
Well, it has been cut back, hasn't it?
It has cut back, and I would not want to say, but I can assure you, the senator and assemblyman and the county executive and even the governor's office is trying to get something put together to where we can continue to generate power out of that facility.
Yes.
And they want to make sure the company that owns it, that has to be profitable also. So what kind of deals are in the works there? That's probably a much better question for the county executive, and obviously when I'm on this show again, I will bring back that information. Hopefully I'll make it back before the month before the election.
At the last legislative meeting, Kathy Young, and who is our state senator, and Goodell, who is our assemblyman, both had said they're working hard on it too. However, they did caution that there is a bill before the legislature now to bypass NRG, which in terms of the power grid. And the big problem is getting the juice downstate where you can sell it.
Right.
But now Canada's bringing in juice at a cheaper rate, so we have a problem here.
You're exactly right, and the infrastructure is part of what you say, getting the power there to it. But here again, we must continue to work to keep that plant in Dunkirk and keep it operating. It would be devastating.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Send me a stamped envelope. I'll self-addressed stamped envelope. I'll send you some $5 off.
Okay, thank you.
At the Lakeview, that beautiful little restaurant at the foot of the hill in Mayville, New York. And there's 2 restaurants.
With delicious food, too, I might add.
Right, and it's Valentino's is the other one, and they're attached.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank
you.
you, caller. Yeah, that energy is, unfortunately, is pretty much out of our control, it looks like.
Well, it really is, but here again, we have to keep voicing our local opinion because we need to make sure the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, squeak, in other words.
Yeah, we gotta keep squeaking.
Keep squeaking.
And of course, we talked about the state budget this week, and of course, luckily it was passed on time. It was actually a couple days early. And in that, I don't know if there's anything that's too earth-shattering. I didn't read the paper this morning with the breakfast they had yesterday, but I know there were some things in there that didn't get enacted. Binding arbitration was one of them. That's still going to be discussed. The 2%.
What is that?
Well, that's where you go into negotiations for contracts, and it keeps the contract you have keeps in force until some is settled. And then you have a group that comes in, makes a recommendation, and binding arbitration is this outside group. You will take this is what we recommend as being the one, and you've got to abide by those rules. That's kind of
you're bound to follow the arbitrator's rules. Okay.
We would just like to see it so there's a little bit more flexibility. I mean, I don't negotiate contracts for the county, but the county executive does. But I do know that was one of the things that didn't get addressed. Obviously, the 2%. Everyone's happy about the 2% cap, so to speak. But on the other hand, it comes back to haunt you when you do have to, at the county level, pick up some of these extra charges. And here again, back to wages and benefits. I mean, there has to be a fair medium here. And
most of the local towns and villages have just simply laughed. There's a big loophole in that.
Yep.
That is, if they vote against us, they don't want to go with it. They don't have to.
Right.
And most of them are voting against it. I don't know about the legislature. Have you voted against it?
We stayed under the 2% this last year. So, but here again,
you did caution us. I noticed in the paper that it could rise 20% next year.
Well, it all depends on what happens. Now, one of the things I have in my notes is we are applying to the state for another 0.5% sales tax increase. So that will generate a few more $1 million. And here again, it's going to be a tough budget year, like all of them are. And I did say that. I'm hoping that's not true. But without the sale of the county home, I think we will see a substantial increase. I said 20. I hope it's certainly nowhere near that. But until we do try to work on the budget and put things together, welfare to work program is one thing that we can cut some local dollars on. And then Christine Schuyler and that committee continue to be updated on that. And they tell us that we're making progress on that, because I know one of the things that Andy and Kathy have talked to us about is the fact that we are one of the counties that spend too much money in welfare programs and assistance programs, and we need to get more people out working so we don't have to put so many local dollars into that.
Of course, we got to find the jobs.
True.
And incidentally, what do you do with a woman with 5 kids, you know?
I know. But here again, I bring it up because those are things that we continue to discuss and talk about.
Okay, it's a controversial one, I know that.
Sure. And then lastly, the one thing that I've worked very hard on is the lake. And obviously the lake is in my district. And we just this last week met with Don Emhart. And what we're trying to do is get a facilitator in here. I don't want to use the name study. We've done lots of studies. We've done management plans.
Committees and studies, on and on, yeah.
But the one thing we need to do, we need to put together some kind of organization or a group of individuals that they'll be empowered to make recommendations on what to do with Chautauqua Lake. And with the help of the IMC, which is the Intermunicipal Committee, and that's headed up by Don Emhart, local town supervisor here, who's doing a tremendous job, and Sally Carlson, they're working on land use issues. By the same token, the CLMC, which is the Chautauqua Lake Management Commission, with that group of 9 different people, have really finished their work. We know some of the recommendations for money, some of the things we need to do, but they have no power to say this money needs to go here or there. So what we're doing, we talked to 15 or 16 different individuals that will come in here and help facilitate at least 2 meetings with these 2 groups and another with the public, and come up with a recommendation to empower. It may be the local municipalities, we may have to have a local vote, but some committee that's empowered to make financial and operational decisions on what to do with Chautauqua Lake.
As long as I've been listening to this and watching this issue, I haven't heard of anybody coming up with a meaningful solution. They're mowing it, which doesn't, it's like a lawn, it comes right back up.
Yep.
They're poisoning it, which horrifies people and doesn't really have any long-term effect. And it just keeps right on growing and growing and growing. They say nutrients are going into the water, but I mean, you used to have a cow farm.
Yes, I did.
You cut back, everybody's cut back on the nutrients, so that hasn't made much effect. So what are you going to do?
Well, you know,
somebody said we should drain the whole lake, go out there, and stomp them all out, dig them up, and then poison the hell out of them, and then let the water back in.
well, you know, DEC will come out with our submerged aquatic vegetation plan here very shortly. But we're so close, folks, and we've worked so hard, and nothing that's ever worth doing is easy. But with the help of these local groups, because we have a grant from the Chautauqua County Community Foundation to pay for this facilitator. Now, that facilitator, we hired him, I think it's PJ Smith out of Buffalo, we hired him on Wednesday. Don and I and Lal Haidu were in a phone interview with the planning department. They will be the ones coming down. They will be coming down, I believe, the first part of May to do some interviews. We need something to help, some person to help us build a plan. We need someone like that to help us come up with a solution to what kind of group this is going to be, because we have money from the Sheldon Foundation. We have money from local landowners around Chautauqua Lake.
We had $100 grand from the legislature.
We have some from the legislature. Senator Young is pledging another 100,000, and Andy Goodell. And so we must continue to work with that lake, because it is our most valuable resource that we have in this county. And I was unfortunately in a funeral home on last Monday night, and a fellow walked up to me and said, "Hey Fred, you're from Chautauqua County, aren't you?" And he had just come down, he'd bought 2 lots, and he'd build a new home on Chautauqua Lake. And those are good things, because folks, those are the second homeowners that I've talked about. Jimmy Webb continues to talk about these second homeowners. And the other thing is, if we put this group together, when these second homeowners are here, they're going to be able to give us feedback on how they feel. And they may not be able to vote on it, but we want to make sure that we talk to these people. We want these people to continue to come to our lake and spend money and enjoy our Chautauqua Lake. And we've got to quit treating the symptoms, and we've got to get to the cause, Reed, as you just alluded to. You know, what can we do? Soil and Water Board has done a lot of work with runoff. I have an application for this meeting next week. Chautauqua Marina is doing a shoreline fix down there at the marina. Their grant was $32,000. We're going to extend another $8,000 to do a $40,000 project. So these are the kinds of things that excite me. That's why I'm going to run again for election, and I want to see some of these things completed while my tenure on the legislature is there.
When is the legislative election?
This fall, November.
November, the same as the regular election.
Right, and that'll be the year that we drop from 25 to 19.
Okay, and who are the poor guys that are going out, I wonder?
Well, that's, hopefully I'm not one of them.
Not you.
Well, you never know. I mean, I do have an opponent, and I don't want to get into the politics, but whoever the opponents are, we want to keep it clean and do our thing and get out and tell our story. But there's so many things happening, and I've got more notes here, but I think the lake for the viewers here is very important.
I think it is the most, and unfortunately, it's the toughest, I think. The toughest. It's pretty hard to get on there and put the lake in jail for being bad.
Well, but here again, this intermunicipal group with Don Emhart and Sally Carlson, there will be some land use issues coming out. I know the Town of Chautauqua Board, I think we'll be hearing them, and the Village of Mayville Board. But all that amounts to is if you're going to dig up a certain amount of square feet, you're going to have to get a permit to do it. And just so we know where these major areas that are just soil and dirt, so we can go and monitor those things so that doesn't end up in the lake.
And a lot of
We have
this
a
is
caller?
under federal law. Yeah.
Good.
We do. Good morning, caller.
Yes. What a busy week for the police departments everywhere, huh?
You bet, huh?
Yes.
My question is, the next time someone complains about the sheriff's department in Chautauqua County, Fred, you can point out our incident in Sherman and or Clymer and Frewsburg as to how quick we capture people.
You're talking about the murder victim.
Yeah.
And the perps. They got the perps in a matter of hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can't, nobody should ever complain about the Joe Gerasi in the sheriff's department.
No, they do a tremendous job. And I know most of those fellas personally, and they're very professional, and they do a lot of their investigation, and it's tough, and I commend them for that.
I have another question for
Yes.
you. Have you taken a drive down the country roads and seen all these trees that are about ready to topple on the roads? Who's responsible for all that, and how we remove them?
Well, I know in Sherman this week they're around trimming. That's National Grid, and as far as the county, I would have to check with George Spanos, because in my local town they do go out, and if they're in the right of way, they do go out and work with the landowner, and they do take them down. But I understand fully what you're saying, because a lot of our old sugar maple trees, I have some on my own road. Like, what are you going to do? Wait till they blow down the road and take the wires down, because they need to come down.
It's all over the county.
Yes, it is.
It's an epidemic.
Yeah, and so especially some of our elm trees and ash. I will ask to have one more thing for my list with George Spanos, is find out what our county policy is on trees.
What's George's role?
George is the director of public facilities for the county, Mr. Spanos.
Okay. He's married to Marianne, right?
Yes, he is, and she's been on your show.
She's a regular.
Yes,
She's
sir.
coming on next week.
Yes. So
Thanks,
I will.
Fred.
Well, thank you for the call, caller. Send me a stamped out, self-addressed envelope. I'll send you a few $5 tickets over to the Lakeview, which is a great place to have a nice dinner. They have fish there that flops over both ends of your plate.
I was down there on Wednesday night to have supper. Yes.
What'd you have?
I just had chicken fingers and onion rings.
Can't beat that.
But we have a meeting, and we get down there, and 3 or 4 of us, and we have some great dialogue.
Great, yeah. We had the whole crew here over not too long ago. Everybody had a wonderful time. Lakeview is famous.
Good people.
Okay, Fred, I wanted to ask you one more thoughtful question here. If we don't get a tax increase, which is very possible, we might not get one, especially since the legislature frowns on it, apparently. What do we do? Where do we get the dough? We can't sell off the airports and the hospitals and our woodlands and whatever the county has. That doesn't work.
No, you can't sell off assets to pay debt. That's no different in business and with the county or otherwise. But as you've heard before, there's only 2 ways to increase revenues, and that's through property taxes, and that's through sales tax. And I'm not sure, but I know, since I was on the legislature, how many departments have been combined over there across the street. And as the county executive has said, he has not raised the local property taxes in his, I believe, 8 years as county executive. And I know this weighs heavily on his mind of what more combining or what more cutting he can do to the county budget to be able to say that. So I'm anticipating with the additional sales tax, that will help. That'll be a couple $1 million. But Reed, inevitably, if we have to do a tax increase, it's going to come from property or sales tax. And I don't know, I'm not going to spin it any other way. County executive and the legislators are all open to different things, but as the last caller just said, we need to keep our sheriff department intact, because I think if the sheriff was to come on here, he would very clearly tell you how many people he had in his department 10 years ago versus today, because as I do talk to deputies, thank God we have as many state police and local municipalities as we do, because there isn't enough sheriff deputies now to man the proper amount of shifts.
How many? What percentage losses there have been? Do you have any idea?
I would guess it's probably, I'm going to say, he's probably at a 20% reduction in the number of deputies and clerical help that he has had 10 years ago. And I'm a little reluctant to say that, but I know he's had a reduction. And so here again, I'll check with him, because this call seems to be coming up all the time. And as we get closer to the budget, these are important things to throw out there. So obviously I'll try to get back at least a month before the next election.
I guess there are two heavies. One is the Sheriff's Department on the budget, and the other one, of course, has to do with Medicaid.
Yes.
A lot of money goes to Medicaid.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the DPF, as I said before, people want their roads plowed and they want to see law enforcement.
And the trees cut down.
And the trees cut down. But, you know, just this week in the paper, too, they're looking to do something at the Faulkner facility. I can tell you, we've got to do something. We should have done something for a long time. But that Faulkner facility, I don't know if you're going to get a lot of people in Faulkner that wants to see us redo that facility because of dust and dirt and noise. But yet that facility is so old, you can't even get a truck in it without taking a plow off in the summertime, if anyone's never been down there. The Sherman facility, we're doing a study to kind of combine that to make it more usable, and maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't.
Facility, you're talking about the road department?
The road department, and here again, it's the Sherman shop, and we talked about that last month, and we've got some reprieve on that, but whether or not the outcome of that will be positive and we can merge the village and town with the county and offer a better bang for the buck. But these are the kind of things you really have to look at, and there always seems to be a roadblock throughout there. I mean, and what do we do with the Faulkner shop? I mean, the Sheridan shop is the best shop that we have. It's the most recently built and most modern. But we've got to do something to address these issues, and when you start talking about spending money, people pay attention. But these are things that have to happen because we still have to plow our roads.
Yeah. I saw, as I was driving down Route 20 recently, they were chopping trees down. A lot of stumps there, and somebody out there is doing something about the trees. Although they were mostly pine trees, I noticed. Now, the old maple trees is something to worry about.
Well, and you know, the caller brought up a good point.
I mean, he did.
I mean, we'll have some windy days here, and I already know that there's a few tree limbs that ends up in the road, and those are hazardous. You drive over them, you have an accident. So I appreciate the chance to talk about some of these things, though. But we've only got a little over 2 minutes left. So
yeah, well, we're running out of time, and I haven't broached several other things. Well, let me say this. I know there it is. I just got this message. We're out of here.
We're out of here. Well, it's been a pleasure, folks. My number's in the book, so call me.
What is your number? Let's hear it.
My phone number is 761-6645, and I'd be happy to hear from you anytime.
And you always answer, I notice.
Well, either that or I get right back to you as best I can.
Right.
Because I enjoy what I do, and I enjoyed coming here to do this program.
Well, I enjoy having you, and I hope you come in again soon.
Well, I hope you'll have me.
Every couple of months,
and the senior citizens need you, Reed.
Well, now I'm going to depend on you to get me into the home that'll still be in existence.
I'll do my best.
Because I'm about ready for it at this age, you know. It's coming fast.
So
time passes fast. All right. Cop pulls up and pulls the guy over and says, you know, you were going awful fast. He said, yeah. He said, well, did you notice that your wife fell out of the car? He says, Jeff, I thought I was going deaf. Enough Irish jokes. Fred Crosscut doing the job. Fred, I appreciate you coming and being open and available to the public so they can call in and ask questions. And our last caller, you're not going to get in. Sorry, we're out of time. But in the meantime, I want to thank all the people that have helped out here. I want to thank all the callers and all the viewers, and I have some special people that I have to say hello to and thank you. Chuck Kelsey, who originated this station, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, John Hamels, and finally, last but not least, all the other people that help out. I want to thank you for being here. And I want to say, may all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.